This is Conor Boyle here for Raw 12:51 AM, and I am delighted to be joined here in the studio by the one and only Mr. Mark Chapman. He is the host of BBC Two's Match of the Day 2, the NFL show, and he's the main presenter for 5 Live Sports. How are you doing today?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm very good. How are you?
Oh, I'm very nice, thank you. Very good. Sorry, I wasn't expecting a question there. How's it feel to be back on a university campus? I know you tour around a fair bit, but does it give you flashbacks to when you were a student?
Yeah, a little bit. Although it's a lot nicer and more modern than my time at university. There are some amazing facilities around here. Yeah, it kind of makes you as well. You sort of think, oh, I wonder if I should have it all again. Did I make the most of it last time round?
Did you enjoy your time at university?
God, I loved my time at university. It was amazing. I went to Hull University. It was my first choice. It was the only place I wanted to go. Yeah, I went back not too long ago actually, and it has changed in an awful lot of places. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. I didn't do a great deal of work, but I absolutely loved it.
Have you got one of those things? I know they give out to famous people. They give honorary degrees.
No, I don't.
Is that one of your aspirations?
No, I don't have an honorary degree. I have a.
Oh, you have an actual degree, I guess.
Yeah, well, I do have an actual degree. I have an actual degree, and I have a. They have a walk of fame.
Oh.
In their student union, so I have a star.
Who are you on that with?
I have a star on the Walk of Fame. Me, Auntie Minghella. I can't remember who else. Can't remember. Anyway, well, me and him. Anyhow, so obviously that's the most important.
It's 2 stars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you've stated before in interviews that your inspiration growing up for radio was Simon Mayo.
Absolutely. Who was here?
Raw's own alumni.
Yeah.
So when you were younger, did you imagine you were going to sports punditry or journalism, or did you imagine you'd go and be more like a radio DJ like Simon?
Well, that's what I wanted to do. So from listening to Simon on Radio 1's Breakfast Show, I wanted to work for Radio 1. And however that was going to happen, I wanted to make it happen. I probably thought I would try and radio DJ and that kind of side of it. But then there gets a point where you get a little bit older and you think, well, I'm going to need something to fall back on as well, maybe. Which is why I did the postgrad degree in broadcast journalism. But I've had the best of both worlds. You know, I was a Radio 1 DJ, as haphazard and shambolic as it was. For 5 or 6 years, I was in charge of that desk, and most weekends, and then the sports side of it as well. So, yeah, I've done both. Yeah.
What do you think if you hadn't take sports punditry broadcasting out of the equation? What do you think you would have done if you hadn't gone into radio?
Oh my God!
Do you have any idea?
I think I would have. I wanted to. I think I might have been a barrister, or I would have joined the police. I think.
Wow.
Because at the same time as I was really enjoying Mayo on Radio 1, I also really liked Crime Watch. So I think. I think that might have been. I might have gone down that route.
Big up the justice system.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Still performing, isn't it? Well, less so the police, more barrister, but still performing.
So you spent many years on, not many, I don't want to make
BBC
One.
Yeah.
Of course, Breakfast Show was Sarah Cox, Drive Time with Scott Mills.
Yeah.
You presented with Dave Vitti.
Yeah.
What was your favourite experience from your time at Radio 1? What do you look back and go, that was the pinnacle?
Interviewing Beyonce was pretty special when she came in on the Radio 1 Breakfast Show. That was like wow. Me and Dave did a couple of comic relief things where we toured the country, collecting football shirts and running a mile and various things. That was amazing. I tell you why that was amazing, because as much as you grow up listening to Radio 1 and you're aware of it and it is big, it wasn't until that moment and driving around the country from Aberdeen all the way to Plymouth, you realise just quite how many people listen to Radio 1. Yeah. And even now, and I hate it because, it's people like of your age who tell me that they grew up listening the same way I grew up with Simon, grew up listening to me on Radio 1, which makes me feel really old. It as a radio station, it plays such a big part, I think, in a lot of people's lives, and people still care about it. And the Radio 1 Breakfast Show audience figures are still discussed more than anything else when radio figures come out and audiences come out. It's just a very special place to work. But touring the country was very enjoyable.
Do you still keep in contact with Dave? Because I love Chapper and Dave.
Yes, I still you were the one. I still keep in touch with Dave. Still very good friends with Dave. Dave is a proper friendship that will never change.
That's lovely.
That is genuine. He would be one of my closest 5 or 6 friends.
So you've covered a lot of different sports in your time. You've covered, football, obviously, cricket, to rugby league, NFL. Yeah. What is a sport that you can't ever imagine getting involved in?
I would find F1 difficult to cover. I don't massively. I used to as a kid. I used to really enjoy it, but I don't particularly enjoy it now. It doesn't necessarily float my boat. I mean, when I have to do it for the radio, that's fine, and you can hopefully find an interesting angle to talk to our team about, but it's never been something that particularly has floated my boat.
I can understand that. I can back that. So you've hosted numerous shows across both television and radio. Was the jump from radio to television, was that daunting? How did it initially happen?
No, it wasn't daunting. When I was a continuity announcer for the Beeb, there was a little studio away from where we did the continuity, and it had an auto cue in it. And so quite often when programmes were on, I didn't have a lot to do. I'd nip in there and I'd practice. I don't think anybody ever knew that I was doing that, but I practiced reading the auto cue. So that was never particularly daunting, and I was quite lucky in the sense that I can't even remember how it came about, but I managed to sort of get some local local TV stuff, so like ITV's Yorkshire Football Night or the equivalent in London, and not practice at it, but it was the way I started was a little bit out of national spotlight, I suppose. And then the first regular BBC TV stuff I did was mainly Final Score, and Final Score is a bit like radio on the telly anyhow. So I felt that I could sort of settle into it and grow with it. So no, it's never felt. I mean, I think if I look back, first few times I was on telly, my heart was probably going like that. And the same time, the first few times I was on Radio 1, it was going like that. But no, I think I was allowed to sort of grow into it.
Now, one thing that we share, if you just look at my bag over there, one thing that we share in common is
Chicago Bears.
Is the support for the Chicago Bears. Now, from the perspective of a Bears fan, how demoralising is it to cover those games?
Well, it's happened. I mean, the thing is though, it's been like that for a very, very, very long time. So you kind of get used to it. And actually, we haven't had them on that often on the highlight show because they have been. True. We always say on the highlight show, we're not going to show every game. We try and show the relevant ones, and unfortunately, Chicago haven't been relevant. But from this off season, maybe this is when things start to change.
Are you keeping up with the combine?
I haven't massively kept up with the combine in that. I've seen the odd little thing and snippet, but I like the new head coach. I like what people who've worked with Nagy have said before. What Andy Reid said about him, the best prospective head coach that he's ever worked with. So you've got to have some hope, and you see also what other teams have done. In Eagles being the prime example, you can turn around your season. Like the beauty of the NFL is that you can be rubbish one season and great the next.
Yeah, I think Jaguars is the best example.
Yeah, absolutely.
Power ranked like 31st, I think.
Ended up, So you never know.
There's hope for Bears fans still. That's good. One thing that has become apparent, and I know you will know this from hosting the NFL show, is how much more popular American football is getting.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Every month, there's more and more people following it. Yeah. Why do you think it's getting more popular?
Well, I think it's because of me, OC and Jay. I think it's because there is greater access to it, and I think it's interesting you say that, because I went to a party not long ago, a friend's birthday party. So he was 50. So there were people of his age coming up to talk to me about the NFL, saying they were watching it again, having not watched it since the 80s, because it was massive in the 80s in this country, because it was on Channel 4. And then I had people of my son's age, sort of 14, 15, coming up to talk to me about it. There was also a Bears fans there that night, because they like the fact that it's physical, and we've lost a lot of physicality from our own football.
True.
And also because you don't know what is going to happen next. I mean, you don't. There is no. All right, The Patriots, maybe. But there is no dominant four. There isn't a top 6. There isn't a top 4. There isn't, an overwhelming favourite each year. So there's greater parity, and I think people buy into that. And I think, if you explain it and sell it in such a way that people get that, they enjoy it.
Can you see a similar trajectory for other American sports like, say, baseball, ice hockey? Do you think they have the potential to become big over here as well?
I suppose basketball might be the one, because they brought they brought NBA over here. I'm not sure about the others. I'm not sure. And baseball, for example, I think the sport needs to want to grow in the market, and the NFL obviously want to grow in particularly in the UK market and in the European market. I think baseball has other areas that they want to grow, Japan being a prime example. So at the moment, I would say it's the NFL streets ahead and maybe a bit of NBA.
So we're going to wrap this up really quickly, but before we do, what is your beer of choice?
My beer of choice?
You go and you order a pint, what do you get?
Well, I would, if they stocked it, I would always have a pint of Boddington's.
Ooh, lovely. That's a very nice choice. Well, thank you very much for coming in to interview me.
You interviewed me.
That's right. This has been Conor Boyle for Raw 12:51 AM.